Some years in the garden are a lot harder than others, and this has been one of those that's been really tough. But we're going to make up for it, so come and join us. We'll show you how.
Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Kylene.
And I'm Jonathan, and this year in the garden has just been really, really rough. Grasshoppers, I mean, talk about biblical plague of grasshoppers. This has just been unreal. We also turned some of the beds over to grandkids who live a few miles away, and it's just been harder for them to get here. And then when the grasshoppers wipe things out, or the squash bugs,
or the earwigs,
they get discouraged, and understandably so. It's frustrating to come out and see your garden just not doing well.
And I think that's a good point that we need to make. When you have a garden, you just have to be out there every day or so. It takes a little bit of tending and a little bit of watching, and this year has been too busy for all of us to make sure that we do that. But that's where perennials come into play, because perennials are fabulous. Your fruit trees, your raspberries, blackberries, all of those kinds of things produce year after year with very little work.
So we don't give up. We never give up. It's time to plant fall garden, so that's how we're going to make the best of this. Now, I used to always think, you know, once we got to August, September, you just kind of ride out the garden and you're done. You don't plant anything else. But my wife has taught me that fall gardening can be awesome. We can plant peas, greens, all kinds of things. My favorites are carrots and beets. And I'll tell you why. Because we have planted this all in beets, and we'll plant more in carrots. When the fall comes and the leaves drop and the frost comes, we cover these with bags of leaves to insulate them, and we harvest them all winter long. So talk about a wonderful source of food that will sustain you through a winter. The beets and carrots that we cover are just amazing, and the flavor is better than ever. They're sweeter and tastier than they are during the regular summer. So this is just an awesome time to get busy and plant something that's going to produce well for you.
I want to talk about the importance of planting your fall garden for a spring return. If I plant spinach right now, then the plant's going to grow and I'll be able to harvest some off of it. But then when the hard frost comes, that spinach just kind of lays dormant. But early in the spring, all of a sudden that spinach will start producing like crazy before I ever have time to plant seeds and get a harvest. Kale works the same way. The lettuce right now, if you let it go to seed, it will readily reseed. And then in the spring, you'll have lettuce before you could have planted it. It will just pop up everywhere. So what you're doing right now in this late summer planting for fall will actually make all the difference in your early spring harvest. So let's get busy. Let's get it done.
Our rabbits are doing a pretty good job of providing some compost, but now it's fall and we want to add a fresh layer of compost on everything, and they can't produce enough. So we had to buy some of this. It's a little more expensive, but it's super high quality, very nutritious, and it's going to make a huge difference as we put this on all of our beds and let it do its job to make for wonderful harvests.
Another thing that we are doing to make the best of the resources we have, well, we had potatoes that obviously we didn't eat. So we're going to use them as seed potatoes. Now, most people think of that in the spring, but what I do is I just plant them randomly wherever I want to plant them. And then the next year, they'll grow. You can just leave them in the ground all winter long. I just put this in the ground, dig a hole, put it in the ground, put this on top like this, and cover it up, make sure that it gets water, and then I don't worry about it. And look at this. These are from one that we did last year that we just put in the ground and let it randomly grow. So instead of wasting it, find a place. We did it alongside the fence where it's not really going to matter, and it doesn't have to be overly beautiful, because when potatoes grow, when they're young, the plant's beautiful. But as soon as it gets a little bit older, it kind of is more ugly. So I wouldn't really want it in my flower bed, but wow, under the ground, nobody knows it's there, and you're not wasting a valuable resource.
One thing that did really well this year is our grapes. I mean, they came on like we've never seen them come on. So that's awesome, and we're in the process of turning them into raisins. All we really need to do is put these into a dehydrator. We have electric dehydrators. We also have this solar dehydrator that we made a few years ago that is just really awesome. We put these in here and come back in a week or so, we've got nice raisins.
One of the other things that's critically important to do to prepare for a future bountiful harvest is to come in here, and although I've let this go like crazy, we need to clean it up and get rid of the old plant matter so that we're not harboring insects or diseases for next year. And then we're gonna put down that wonderful fresh new layer of compost and rabbit manure so that it's all nice and healthy and strong. That way we'll get a jump on the springtime, which is coming sooner than you think.
This is probably, in my opinion, the most critical time for you to get going on your garden. There is a learning curve. Get going through that learning curve, build your soil, and right now is an awesome time to get with your local nurseries to find perennial plants, trees, bushes, all these things that you can put in this fall and get them going.
They're cheaper right now, right? They'll put them on clearance really soon. And then that fall, that cooler weather and the moisture time, it's a great time to start a lot of those perennials, which can make all the difference in your food security. And now for the question of the day, what are you doing today, this week, to make sure that you have a bountiful harvest in the future? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.